Hey guys, Heather here from Tye-Dyed Iguana, and today we're going to talk about how keeping a pet reptile, in some cases amphibian, can be a very long-term commitment. So most people, when they think of reptiles, they might think that they only live for a short time, but in all actuality, most of the reptiles you find in the industry have pretty long lifespans. So today we're going to go over some of our animals that have the longest lifespans, give you a few examples of each one, and just kind of show you just how long they can live on average and why this could be a long-term commitment for you when you take one home as a pet. So first we'll start off with our green iguana, Little Lizard. Now we don't sell any green iguanas at our store because of their extensive space and care requirements, but they do get to be around 15 to 20 years old. Our little girl here, Little Lizard, our green iguana, she is over 15 years old. She's heading on to her 16-year birthday, I think, next year. So yeah, she's definitely reached her average lifespan, but she's still doing really good. So whatever lifespan they have, 15 to 20 years, they can live past that too. So green iguanas are definitely long living and they need a lot of care. And most of your big iguanas will have long lifespans, including Miss Spiny Tail here. I'm not sure how old she is. She might be closer to 10 or so. But yeah, they have longer lifespans. And then we have your skinks, like Mr. Burt here. These skinks have lifespans about 15 to 20 years old. Burt, man, he's probably knocking on that 15-year-old age. But they can live even longer than that with the right care and everything. So he's probably got still quite a few years left. And he definitely does not act like he's old at all. The same goes with legless lizards. Mr. Wilson here is probably in that teenager age range, probably 13 to 15 years old. And these guys can be like 15 to 25 years of age, or even longer. With reptiles, man, they can live as long as they're healthy, and yeah, basically, with the right and proper care, man, you can really get some years out of them. A really great example of that are snakes. Now, most snakes can live, like, their average lifespans are like 20 years old, but they easily go past that mark with the proper care in captivity, one of which being one at the St. Louis Zoo that is well over 60 years old now. So yeah, they definitely live a long time and can just keep on going. Yeah, basically any snake you get, like even a corn snake or king snakes, milk snakes, all sorts of snakes, boas, they can live well over 20 years old. Alright, this next one, it really surprised me when I looked it up because I didn't know that these guys could get to be that old. So Pixie Frogs, also known as African bullfrogs, like our big girl Jabba here, they can actually live to be 30 years old or even more in captivity. And there are instances where they have recorded these guys living to be that old in captivity. So yeah, I had no idea that these guys could live that long. I think that's amazing. I didn't know there were amphibians that could be that old. So that's pretty darn cool. And then I also looked it up, and apparently Pac-Man frogs can live to be like 15 to 20 years old too. So yeah, that was pretty amazing to me. And in the cute little Uromastyx, might not be very big, but it has a very long lifespan. Can easily reach that 20-year-old mark and even go even further than that. So I'm pretty sure there have been some in captivity over the age of 30. So, oh, this one's sleeping. But yeah, Uromastyx are definitely a reptile that needs a long-term commitment, couple to a few decades. And believe it or not, some of the most common beginner reptiles, like crested geckos and leopard geckos, they all have lifespans of that 15 to 20 year mark and can easily go past it. I'm pretty sure that some of our geckos in here are close to that 20-year-old mark for sure, because we got them so long ago from somebody, one of our friends of the store, and they were already adults, breeding adults by that time, and that was like 12 or 13 years ago. So They are all pretty old. But we do have a few newer ones in here to replace retired breeders. But there are some in here that are very old. And then of course you see our leopard gecko in here. They will live to be pretty old. Also goes for Central American banded geckos and a gecko that's pretty similar to these guys, the African fat-tailed gecko. They all have pretty long lifespans of like 20 years or more. But yeah, that's all with proper care and everything. The better that you take care of them, the longer they'll live. And then lizards like this that get pretty big, like the tegu. It's not an iguana, but it still gets pretty darn big and it'll live a long time. These guys will easily reach that 15 to 20 year mark. So yeah, they can live to be just as old as the green iguanas with the proper care. And good news about Mr. Dobby, the green basilisk here. These guys have a lifespan of 15 to 20 years. So we're hoping that, you know, since we got him in a nice big tank with a nice habitat and everything, we take really good care of him, and of course he's got his thunder thighs going on there, that he lives a nice long life here at Tye-Dyed. Alright, let's move on to the ones that you'll probably have to write into your will. Tortoises. Now these tortoises, the leopard and the redfoot tortoise, they're a little bit smaller, so they don't live quite as long as your bigger tortoises like the sulcatas, the aldabras, and the Galapagos. They easily live to be about 50 years old or even more. They can live to be, you know, that 70 to 100-year-old mark. But these guys have a little tiny bit shorter lifespans on average than your huge tortoises that can go for like 200 years or more, like the Galapagos can. So, but these guys, you'll definitely have to have long-term plans for them, especially if you get them later in life. They will outlive you. As long as you give them the proper care and they thrive, they can easily get over that 50-year mark, for sure. Now, of course, we gotta end the video with our tortoises here that can get to be the oldest out of all the animals at our shop. The sulcatas. These guys can live to be easily over the age of 75, and most often they can reach ages well over 100. Just like the Galapagos tortoises you see in zoos and stuff like that, like aldabras and everything. These guys, they will probably outlive you if you get one as a baby, as a pet. So these are definitely ones that you have to have a long-term plan for, even in your will when you get older, because they will probably outlive you. And you must be prepared to be able to feed something this big and be able to house them when they're this big too. So they need lots of space and they are very destructive, so you gotta make sure you have the proper type of setup for them so they don't go escaping on you. So ain't that the truth, buddy? So these guys will definitely live the longest out of everything at our store. So yeah, hopefully you guys realize now that after seeing all those different types of reptiles and amphibians that can live to be an awfully old age, hopefully you see now that getting a pet reptile isn't a short-term thing, it can be a very long-term thing. So you just want to be ready for that commitment when you buy a pet reptile or amphibian. And yeah, as long as you know what you're in for, you're good to go. That's great. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.